Hey folks, this is Donnie. There's probably going to be an echo on the video. I'm sitting in the shooting house at the lease. There's a window directly behind the camera, but I got that one's open. These two are closed, and I've got this one open, and of course the door. It's hot, but it's raining. I'm putting a solar powered light on the feeder pole down there with green lights on it. It had daylight white LED lights on it, 5,000 lumen, and I got a permanent green marker, a Sharpie, and I painted the lights on it green, so it puts out a really bright green light, and it's for the wild pigs. We're going to be hunting them, and my brother's coming down the first part of August, going to hang out with me for a little while, and I'm going to bring him over here so he can shoot him some pigs, take him some pig meat back home with him. But I just wanted to update you guys, let you know what all has happened. This past Friday, we had my father-in-law's burial service, his funeral, to put him to rest. We had to be at the cemetery at 12 o'clock noon for that service. However, 9:30 that morning, at 9 o'clock, we had to take Piglet, my oldest dog. I had to take her to the vet in Shipley, and she did not make it. We had to come home. I got home somewhere around 10:15, 10:20. On the way home, I knew I did not have any time to give her proper burial and to do a service for her. And yes, we do that for our animals. Piglet's been with me as of June 21st. That was her 16th year. And it hit me hard. I'm still having a time dealing with it. That was the best friend I've ever had in my life. And through when I broke my neck, everything that's happened to me, she was always there. And she means the world to me, just like a child, and it hit me just as hard. And I know I'm going to get some flack from some people saying that it's nothing like losing a child. Well, I lost my son a few years ago. And yeah, it's pretty close. It's not the same as losing a child. I know firsthand what that's like. But it hurts just as bad. But on the way home, there was no way I could have got her buried. Had the hole dug, prepared, and then done a service and a blessing over her. There was no way to do it and be at the funeral by 12 o'clock. And our only option was to either let Piglet stay in the back of the car with no air conditioning in the heat for 4 or 5 hours while we did the funeral service and the greeting of family afterwards, which that's just unacceptable. That's not going to happen. Or there was a service in Panama City, Florida. It is called Peaceful Pets. I looked them up and I contacted them. Stoney and his wife, I believe they own it. When we pulled up into our driveway from the vet with my little girl Piglet in the back of the car, he was in the drive waiting on me. And I can't say enough about how grateful we are for that. He and I took Piglet. She was a big girl. She ate up with cancer, but she lost a lot of weight, so she was around 80 pounds. And we put her in the back of his van, air-conditioned van, and she went into a dog or a pet body bag on a bed. And he took her. I will be getting her back. He took her to have her cremated, and I'll be getting her back the end of this week. And they'll have the Peaceful Pets. It was expensive. It was my only option. I didn't have any other option, no route to go. It was $275. I have not paid for it yet, but he does take credit cards, and he's going to let me use multiple cards to make that payment. But what we get out of that is he guaranteed us that Piglet will be cremated by herself. She will not be put in a crematorium with other people's pets, to where you get a mix of different pets' ashes. The ashes that we're going to receive back are going to be Piglet's ashes and no other animal. And I'm so grateful for that. Her ashes are going to be in a red cedar box, and her name will be engraved on a plate on the front of the box, and it'll have her birthday, June 21st, 2005, and then her day of death, the day of departure. And if any of you guys, if you're going through a loss with a pet, and you care for that animal, if you'd like to have that animal cremated and returned to you, your beloved pet, not somebody else's or a mix of other animals, your beloved pet, that's the only ashes you will receive, and that's the reason it's so expensive. I'd highly recommend these people. This man was such a pleasant feller to deal with, very understanding, very prompt. He was in my driveway when we pulled up, and he wasted no time. We got her straight from the car into his van, and was in a body bag and in a bed, and he took her to have her cremated. And then if you guys need something like that, it's called Peaceful Pets. I believe it's located in Southport, Florida, which is, we're in Southport. We're not in the immediate area of Southport, but where we're at is considered Southport. We're on the outskirts. But they're located in Southport. He will go to your vet if you have to have an animal put down. He will go to the vet and pick that animal up for you. He will come to your house. He will meet you anywhere that you need him to meet you. And you don't pay for the service until the service is complete. He's gonna get up with me and Kim the end of this week, and they offer other things. I could have had her paw print put on the box. I don't know what the charge is to have the extra done. I chose not to have her paw print put on there. I'm having a hard time dealing with it, and I think it would mess me up a little longer seeing, every time I look at it, at that box, to see her paw print on there. Emotionally, I don't think I could deal with it. Maybe later, I'm sure. It's by our Creator, we're granted a time of mourning, and that doesn't go just for your family or your friends. It goes for, your pet fish, your beloved fish, or your cat, or your bird, your snake, whatever you have that you're bonded with and that you love and care for. When it passes, we are granted that. we're allowed to mourn over them. We're expected to mourn over them. And I'm not the tough guy that digs a hole, kicks them in it, and covers it and moves on. I just can't do that. That dog's been with me for a long time. And I just wanted to share with you the importance of Piglet and who she was as a pet. She was so much more than that. When I got her, the man who had her called me. She was 3 weeks and 5 days old. He called and said, if you still want her, you need to come get her now because their mother is killing them. I went and got her, 3 weeks, 5 days old. And by the time she was 5 weeks, I had her weaned. She was on a bottle and eating puppy chow mixed with warm water. So it wasn't soggy, but it wasn't crunchy. It was kind of in between. But at 6 weeks old, she caught parvo. I took her to the vet and they said she would not survive it. Puppies that young do not survive parvo, and she had it full blown. She spent a week in the vet and she survived it. I brought her home and I had to measure out and weigh how much she ate. She was on a very crazy schedule. She had to eat every so many hours through the day, and I had to monitor all of that, and what she drank, how many ounces she drank, when she went to relieve herself, how much that she left behind. And we stayed on top of it. A week later, she caught parvo a second time. This time, the second time, she turned completely white. All of her fur turned white. We took her to the vet and they said it is a miracle for a puppy that young to survive parvo. And she was completely filled with parvo, but she survived. He said she definitely will not survive a second round of it. There's never been a dog survive 2 rounds, not as a puppy. A week later, we brought her home. She survived it. And I was so grateful. I bonded to her the day I brought her home as 3 weeks and 5 days old. I bonded with that little thing. I could hold her in my hand. She fit in my shirt pocket. I didn't know she'd grow to 103 pounds. I had no idea. But I didn't care. She was like a daughter to me. When we brought her home after the second bout of parvo in her second week in the hospital, my friend took her out back so she could go potty. As soon as she set her on the ground, Piglet started yelping crazy. Hollering. I ran out back. I thought she dropped her and hurt her. And I ran out back because I heard her yelping. And she said, I don't know what happened. I set her down and she just started going crazy yelping. And I picked her up and was looking her over, and her foot was swelling so big. And I thought she dropped her or something bit her. And so I got my cordless hair clippers and I shaved her foot, and she had fang marks. I went out back by the porch and I found the rattlesnake that bit her. When she took her out and set her down, she sat her on top of a rattlesnake. She didn't see it. It was an accident. And that snake bit Piglet on the foot, on the leg, on the ankle. We had to go back to the vet. She got some antibiotics. Wasn't nothing they could do. It has to run its course. She had no immune system because of the parvo and all the treatment that she was on for the parvo. Let me pause this. Sorry about that. It was a helicopter, very low flying helicopter. But anyhow, the Piglet was now on antibiotics for the snake bite. She was on antibiotics and steroids with the parvo done to her. She was in rough shape. She did not spend the night in the hospital that night, the night of the snake bite. I brought her back home. The following morning, her little old foot was swollen so big, and she was such a tiny thing. We took her out to go to the bathroom, and I had a couple of hog dogs back then. I hog hunted, and I had a female named Bentley. She was a Georgia Jeep pit bull, 44 pounds, full grown, and she adored Piglet. She played with her, she cleaned her, she thought Piglet was her puppy. Piglet seen her, Bentley was on a long lead, a long chain, a runner, and a friend of ours, they had a newborn baby, and he had a huge male pit bull that he brought over and tied up on a chain at my house. And I told him, he can't stay long, you gotta come and get him. I don't have any males, I don't want any males because of their aggression towards children. Males are not, it's not that they hate children, they do not. The male pit bulls, the male dog is territorial to their home, their land, their yard, your house. The females are territorial and protective to their owners, their family. That's why most children that are bitten by male dogs. The dog isn't attacking the child because it's a little person. Normally it's because that child went into that dog's property, and that dog was defending his home, his turf, and that's the reason for the attack. 9 times out of 10, it's not all cases, but it's most of them. But for that reason, I didn't want a male. I don't want a dog that's gonna go after somebody because they crossed into our yard. And this big dog that my friend Jesse brought over was a male, a huge male, 88 pounds, big head on him. Piglet runs up to Bentley to go play with her. She's kind of hopping on 3 legs because that one foot is so big. She's weak from the parvo, the foot swollen from the rattlesnake bite. And when I realized that that big male bulldog broke his chain, my dog Bentley was in season, and he was over at Bentley trying to breed her. Before I could get to him, Piglet got up to Bentley, and that big male attacked her because he was trying to breed Bentley. So he attacked my puppy, Piglet, and he bit her head and he broke her jaw. By the time Piglet was 7 to 8 weeks old, she had full-blown parvo twice. She was bit by a rattlesnake. She got her jaw broke. And I brought her inside, checking her. It was so obvious her jaw was crooked and she's bleeding from the inside of the mouth. I set her on the floor so I could talk to the vet. I called the veterinarian. I was in the kitchen and she was at my foot whining, just leaning against my shoe. I turned, it was wintertime. My sleeve of my shirt caught my knife box that's on the counter with my steak knives and butcher knives in it. It knocked that over when I bumped it. My sleeve grabbed one of the big knives, slid it off the counter, and it stuck in the floor. It shaved Piglet's side and stuck in the floor. It almost impaled her. And I knew right then, this dog is destined to die. And I was so angry. There was something special about this dog that I bonded with from the beginning, and it seemed everything possible to go wrong and to take her life was happening. And I was very angry, very disturbed spiritually and emotionally over this. Well, Piglet survived. She lived to be 16 years old, the 21st of last month. Every year my oldest daughter, Kirsten, her birthday is June 22nd. And every year I would call her, and Kirsten, I'd call her on the 21st, and Kirsten, I wouldn't say happy birthday to her, but my intentions, I was going to, but it's something I've always done with Kirsten. And Kirsten would hint around, Daddy, you know what tomorrow is, don't you? You know what tomorrow is? And every year I would say, oh yeah, tomorrow is your sister Piglet's birthday. And we'd laugh about it. And up until this year, Kirsten always thought her birthday was the 22nd because I did this to her every year. 16 years of Piglet's life, every year I would call Kirsten on her birthday. And I wouldn't tell her happy birthday right away. She would hint around at it, and I would say, oh yeah, today is Piglet's birthday, your sister. And it's just something that we've done. Piglet loved Kirsten. Kirsten absolutely loved and adored her. Before she lost her hearing, she got sick last year, Piglet did. Kirsten would call, and I'd put her on the video phone, and Piglet would be laying next to me on the couch, and that tail would get to go, and she recognized Kirsten's voice. But Piglet would watch TV. She loved Animal Planet or the old westerns, anything that had horses in it. She loved the horses. But I could turn my phone to where she could see Kirsten on the screen, and she was ecstatic. She loved Kirsten, and she was such a unique dog. I've never had one like that. I bred bulldogs, Georgia Jeep pit bulls. I bred for 17 years. I had a lot of them, a lot of breeder pairs, and I've never in my life seen a dog that had the personality, the characteristics that Piglet had. Piglet was an animal lover. I could not field dress any animal. Squirrels, deer, wild pigs. I could not dress any animal in front of her. She would literally put her tail between her legs, and tears would flow from her eyes. She would cry and cry. She'd get so upset. And just to know her, the 16 years I had with her was the best 16 years of my life. The worst days of my life was the day I lost my mother and my father, and the day I lost my son, and this past Friday when I lost Piglet. So guys, please understand, I'm not avoiding any of you. I have not been on YouTube. I'll pull a video up and I'll start watching it, and then I'll just turn it off. I'm having a rough time dealing with this. It too will pass. I didn't think it would hit me as hard as it did losing her. But I'm going to be doing a show sometime soon, just to touch base with you. I just wanted to let you all know what's going on, why I haven't been on lately. Friday we put Kim's father to rest, and my dog. It was a hard day. It was a really hard day, and I should get Piglet back this week. But if any of you, if you're having an animal that's sick, a pet that's dear to you, if you're interested in having them cremated and you're close or fairly close to us, I don't know how far they offer their services. I don't know if it's something that they can meet you. You know, if you live in Georgia or Alabama or Mississippi, I don't know if it's, I don't know if they offer that. You would have to call them to see, but it's called Peaceful Pets. And to have your animal cremated and put in a red cedar box, a pretty little red box, or red cedar box with their name plate on it, is $275. They offer the paw print, a lot of other things you can have done. I didn't have the money to, I don't have the money to do the cremation. But I wasn't about to let her sit in the back of my car for 5 or 6 hours until I could bury her. No animal deserves that. That's cruel. Whether they're passed away or not, it is cruel. And I'm not doing it. I honor life above money any day of the week, and it will always be that way for me. I do have some available credit on credit cards. I have a lot of credit cards. I've got to get them paid off, and that's what we're trying to get done. We've just had one thing after the other and haven't been able to do that. But Peaceful Pets, if you have access to a credit card, if you don't have the money, they do take credit cards. I don't know if they take PayPal. I'm sure they do. If you got the PayPal card, it works like a credit card. But I only dealt with the husband. His name is Stony. But a wonderful man. An absolute wonderful, caring man. And just talking to him, you can feel it on him. He truly cares. He's not a businessman first who pretends to care for the business. He is a caring man who's brought that into his business. But I'm just so grateful, and I'll let you guys know when we get Piglet back. I'll do a video or a picture, a post or something. I'll let you guys see how we get her back. I'm still going to build a headstone for her. I got the sheet metal to build the frame. I'm going to do a cross for her out of cement, and then I'm going to engrave her name and her birth date and date of passing on it, and then I'll write something on it, and then I'm going to plant a loquat tree for her like I did a little bit. Little bit was Piglet's daughter, and we lost her 4 years ago to diabetes. She was 7 when we lost her, and it was I had a rough time with that one too. Any of the animals we lose hits me pretty hard, but this one's been the hardest. And guys, I love you. I love all of you. Thank you so much for bearing with me. This is temporary. This is not the new norm for the channel. This is just temporary. I got to get her in the ground, get her tree planted to recognize and honor her life because of her. Just a side note for y'all that don't know, a lot of new people are here with us, and thank you for joining our family here. You are loved, you are honored. Thank you. But for those who don't know, I went through a very hard time in my life. I've had multiple injuries, more than I could count. I'd had over 207 broken bones with one hospital alone. There's 2 hospitals that I went to. But during the time when I was fighting to try to get my rights restored with workers' comp so that I could continue to work, the judge pulled up my record, my medical record, and on one hospital I've had over 207 broken bones. I've been in that hospital for, and I went to the other hospital just about the same amount of times. I got a bone disease. My bones break easily. I broke my back 3 times. 2005, I broke my neck, and it ruined me. I had to learn to live all over again. Several times, I was going to take my own life, full intentions of doing it. I was tired of the pain. I was tired of the pills that didn't work. It was all a temporary patch. It didn't. I did not have any type of life with that mess. It gave me a 30-minute break, and then the pain was right back, wide open. But I couldn't take any more because I didn't take my daily dose. And you don't have a life when you're dependent on pills to survive, and that's where I was at. The only reason I didn't end my life, I did make one attempt I ate a bottle of Flex Real Muscle Relaxers, 10 milligram. There were 90 of them in the bottle, and I ate the whole bottle. I laid on the floor because I didn't want to roll off the bed and jar myself and wake up out of it. I wanted to go to sleep and not wake up. I woke up projectile puking. It didn't work. I was sick for 2 or 3 days from it. But 2 other times I tried. The reason I didn't go through with it was because I didn't have anybody that I could trust to take care of my beloved Piglet and give her a good life. And that was the only reason I didn't do it. And that's being honest with you. I have no desire to take my life. Now, I gave my life to Christ 2012. I got saved. I live on a completely different path. I have no desire to end my life, and it's just not something that's even in the box of tricks. I have bad times like all of you have bad times, but nothing's worth taking your own life and suffering the eternal consequences for it and then putting your family through that. I just didn't realize that back during the times before I got saved when I planned on doing this. And Piglet's the only reason I didn't do it. I loved that dog that much that I was so concerned that she would end up on a chain or in a cage or in somebody's yard not being loved on and cared for. And she was the most unique dog I've ever seen in my life. And not because she was mine, it's because of who she was. She would open the refrigerator at midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and help herself. Then she'd unlock the back door and go out back to relieve herself. And I'd wake up in the morning to the back door being open after I locked it. And I'd be in a mad panic thinking somebody was in my home. And we finally called her in the act and realized we weren't having burglars, we were having a Piglet that wanted out. But anyhow, please don't let this get to you in a bad way. I told you guys I'd never hide nothing from you. The good or the bad. I will always be open and truthful and share all of that with you to keep you updated and let you know what's going on. We will be back to normal very soon. I will definitely be doing a live show very soon. I may try tonight. I was going to do it last night and I couldn't keep it together. Emotionally, I just wasn't there. But I will very soon. If this has hit you in a negative way, I apologize. That is not my intention. I wanted you guys to understand what we are dealing with right now. It's been a very rough time. The love I have for life outside of my family is you guys. And I will get over this, and we will be rocking and rolling and doing what we do best. I love you. You have a wonderful and a very blessed evening. And I will absolutely be seeing you guys soon. Until that time, always be safe.